Hello YouTubers, you are watching Just Do It Yourself channel, and today we have 2015 Ram 1500 and we will be replacing passenger side axle. You can see this one, the boot got damaged, so it's throwing the grease all the way around. We'll get it replaced. Vehicle is over the ground and I will remove the wheels. It's 22mm socket. I'm using half-inch impact with almost 1500 foot-pounds torque to lose the nuts. I will leave links for all the parts and tools in the description to the video. So the axles, the tools will be there. Please check those out. That will help the channel to grow. Alright, we'll just remove the wheel and put it aside. You can see how big of a mess it is, so it's throwing grease from here and from there. So to replace two boots, considering that this truck has 100,000 kilometers on it, it would not make much sense, so we'll replace the entire axle. The axle should be the same both right and left, since this one has like intermediate axle, and I will leave a link in the description. So there is lots and lots of grease like over here. I will start with cleaning up that grease to make sure that when we work it doesn't get too messy. So let me do the cleaning first. Okay, so I have cleaned everything a bit, and I just can show you how that boot opens and how easy for water and dust is to get inside. So next, while we have our brakes on, and if you're using manual tools, you want to apply your brakes and remove the axle nut. I'm using an 1 7/16" socket to get it off. Let's see how that goes. The axle is off, and also I went ahead and sprayed the axle nut, the upper ball joint, lower ball joint, and the tie rod with WD-40 just to let it soak a bit. So now when the axle is loose, we can go ahead and remove caliper bracket with the caliper. But before we do that, we will go ahead and disengage the ABS wire from all the brackets and clips. So there's this, try to zoom in, connector. It was attached to the fender liner, so I pull it off. There's a red tab to push it out. First, we'll need a screwdriver for that. So we'll put the screwdriver in and push it out, then press and disengage. Same with this one, you just put the screwdriver in, try it out. So now ABS cable is safe. To get the caliper bolts off, I'm using 21mm socket. And also you need to have ready some sort of a hook or strap to hang the brakes to the frame when it's removed. So now I'll just remove the caliper with the bracket and hang it to the side so it's out of the way. You just want to make sure that there is no pressure on this hose, and at this point there is a little bit, so we will just move it closer. And outer tie rod, 21mm socket, we'll get that off. And it started to spin. So we will try to push it from the top and get that nut off. But also you can hold it with the wrench and get it out that way. So this came off surprisingly easy. If it got stuck, just a few good slams with the hammer and it will pop up. Next we'll remove the nut on the top ball joint. I will use 21mm socket with the swivel. Perfect. So next we'll put the nut bed on for a few moments just to protect the thread. We'll give it a few good slams. Just like that. So now we can remove the nut. And let this part off. Now I would be curious to see if that would be enough to get the axle out. Normally it should, at least it was with all other vehicles that I've done axles on them. But with this truck, you will see it's still a little bit tight. So let's try to play with that. It's almost, oh, here it is. It is kind of out. So I'll just remove this ABS wire from here, just to avoid any damage to it. Okay, so it seems like it is all the way out, so maybe we don't need to remove the lower ball joint. Alright, so now we need to remove the axle, and usually the best way is to give it a good slam on its way out. And in this case there is actually room, so we can hammer it directly the axle. We don't need any chisels or pry bars. So just apply a little bit of pressure. And just like that. So here you want to inspect the snap ring. It still looks good. The splines look good. So there is a rubber O-ring that seems to be good. So we'll just apply some thread grease and I'll install the new axle on. Okay, so next, before you do anything else, you want to compare the size of two axles. And axles in a link, you can find the axles by the links in the description to the video. So you want to measure the length of the axle when it's compressed. So in this way it sits, it's compressed, fully compressed. We'll just place the new one beside the old one, press it down, same size, so we're happy with that. Sometimes I had axles that were like ½ inch shorter and it was popping out all the time. So that's important to know that they are the same size, as well as there's another variety of axles slightly longer for a lifted truck, the same Ram 1500 but lifted, so it will be different size. So here's our new axle, so we'll just apply some grease and put it in. Okay, so I'm just using some shell grease. We'll put it inside. As I mentioned before, check that O-ring at the end of the splines that go inside the shaft. Make sure that that one is good. If it's bad, replace it. Prevent any moisture and dust getting in. But yeah, that should be good. just using regular grease. Alright, so now we'll just try to slide the new axle in, similar way as we got the old one out. And that seems to be all the way in. So next I will just use some brake clean and we'll spray the hub splines so it's nice and clean. It was nice when the old axle came out quite easily. We'll actually take some anti-seize and we'll put on those splines for the same reason, so if we need to remove it later on. The hub is already quite rusty, so we don't know how good this axle will hold, so a little bit of anti-seize will make a huge difference if we need to remove this later on. Okay, we'll give it a try to get it in without removing the lower ball joint. Okay, it's in. That involves a little bit of sweating, but not sure what would be easier, to remove the knuckle entirely or fight with this axle, but it's doable either way. Okay, next we will install the upper ball joint, but since this used to be, or it still is, nylon lock nut, and after second use it's not as good, we will apply some blue Loctite thread locker, get it in, and we'll get it started. Want to use the tie rod, hold this in place. So next we'll torque it to 50 foot-pounds. Next we will put the nut back on the tie rod and get it snagged. And we will torque it to 25 foot-pounds. Same deal with the tie rod. We'll put some blue Loctite, get that nut snag, and we'll torque it to 25 foot-pounds. Next, we will get the axle nut snag. and we'll get a torque to 190 foot-pounds. Okay, next we will reinstall the caliper with the bracket. Just try to slide it back on without moving the pads. And I'm reusing the same bolts with some blue Loctite on them. Let's start the bottom one. We'll do the top one next. Get them snagged with the impact. And now we'll torque them both to 130 foot-pounds. Next I will route that ABS cable back where it's used to go. Plug that connector back in. Get that red pin locked. Now we'll push this back into the Fender liner. Get this back in. We are all good. So I'll just remove our hook. Next we will apply a little bit of anti-seize around the center bore so the wheel doesn't get seized to the hub. Now I'll put the wheel back on. Get the lug nut started. Get them snug. Next I'll torque them to 130 foot-pounds. So that will be the final step of this job. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Please check the description to the video for any parts and tools that you may need. And as always, just do it yourself. Take care, guys.